Good evening and welcome to our Sweet Life program for 2023. This is our first cooking demonstration of the year. For February, our theme is Heart Healthy and Heartfelt. So we have some recipes for you tonight. I want to introduce you to our chef, our executive chef, Davis Cruz.
Thank you, Elisa.
He'll be demonstrating our menu tonight, which is going to be the salmon Florentine, complemented by a roasted beet salad with lemon and dill and paired with a delicious fresh pomegranate juice.
Correct. Well, thank you, Elizabeth. She's our diabetes educator here at the Diabetes Center. My name is Davis Cruz once again. I'm the executive chef at Hogue Newport Beach, and I also assist at the Irvine campus. A little bit about my history is I love food. I'm passionate about good food, and also been diabetic for 27 years. I'm type 1. I use an insulin pump for the new ones of you guys that are joining our classes. So I have firsthand experience in diabetes, and also I'm a chef, so it makes it that much difficult for me, correct? So if I can do it, everybody can do it. So it's no excuse. It's about mindful eating. Everything that you put in your mouth has a beneficial effect or a detriment, correct, to your body. So it's only up to you to decide what good foods are. And there's plenty of good food that doesn't have to be high in sugar, high in carbs, and they're delicious. So let's demonstrate a few of the recipes that Elizabeth picked, and I second, and they're really, really good. Simple to make. And I'm going to show you a few tricks on how to make it easier. I know most of us, actually not me, most of you shy away from cooking. So I'm just going to make it as simple as possible, all right? So we're going to start with the salmon. And we have tremendous amount of variety on our salmon. Which salmon should we buy, correct? Wild caught, farm raised, skin on, skin off. So whichever you decide, make sure that either you know how to fillet it, so it's no bones left behind, correct? Or buy it already deboned. Now, if you see here, that white part, next to it is where the bones live, correct? So if you press or you looked at it, you will see that there is no bones, correct? In the back side, you see that's a little darker. Well, that's where the skin normally sits on, correct? Do we cook it with the skin or without the skin? I prefer with the skin on because it gives you, if you crispy it the way it should be, it gives you that additional taste and crunchiness on the salmon. Salmon is heavy on fat, so what it will do is it's a forgiving dish, meaning if you overcook it, it's still okay.
Yes, we've got good fats in the salmon.
Correct.
So we've got, particularly salmon is very popular and famous for the omega-3 fatty acids. So we know those are essential fatty acids. We can't make them in our body, so we need to get them from our foods. And they have great properties, one of which is anti-inflammatory, so very good for inflammatory conditions, whether that be arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, very good for mental health, dementia, Parkinson's disease, skin health, anything that can benefit from these beautiful omega-3 fatty acids.
Correct. And I always try to use one of our benefactors here at the Diabetes Center. They are the owners of the Pasolivo olive oil, and I love using their product. This olive oil is fantastic. It's 6 hours after it's being harvested that is pressed and ready to market. So this olive oil is like no other. Even in Italy, they compete heavily with Italian olive oil. So I'm just gonna square a little bit here. Now on our recipe, we have to spray the pan. So there is olive oils like also on a can to be sprayed. If you choose to do that, it's also actually very, it lasts longer. That's why the reason they put it on a spray bottle, because it's dark and it doesn't open to the air. So because of that, it will last longer in your shelves, correct? So if you have olive oil at home, and it's not in a dark bottle, it's not real olive oil, number one. Number two, do not keep the olive oil next to your stove because the heat will break down the olive oil. So keep it in your cupboard away in the dark place, as dark as possible, without the sun hitting it. And
Very
it will
important.
It will last you a long time. Yeah.
Very good monounsaturated fatty acids, and we want to protect them from light degradation and heat. So very good.
Correct. For those that are in low sodium, so we have the option of not add any salt, only add the salt-free seasoning if you like. I'm going to leave the salt-free seasoning for the spinach to give it that much taste to the spinach. I think the salmon as itself is delicious, so we're going to do it with no seasoning. Or I can do it individually, so let's watch. Now, when you cook any fish, skin side up, that means that the other side goes down in the pan first, correct? If you will have the skin and put them on the skillet, it will shrink like that, and it will break it to a point where it just all the juices will come out. So you want to sear it. Hear that sound? Beautiful. Now one with the salt. So put salt in one side and then salt in the back. And the last one, these are choices we make as we're cooking, right? So we have the salt-free seasoning. Now here is where I like to play and be a little bit more generous, okay? Because guess what? It's salt-free. So I'm creating a little bit of a crust in both sides. Okay.
There we go. We have 3 different options. Plain, we can just taste the flavors of the salmon in and of itself, which has quite a distinct, wonderful flavor. And we have one salted and one salt-free with Mrs. Dash, which is a herb combination. Mm-hmm.
Correct. And it's up to you when you're cooking at home. Depending on your diet, your restriction on your diet, then you choose what seasonings to use. So I'm using the salt-free seasoning Mrs. Dash. They also sell it in different stores besides Mrs. Dash as the manufacturer. It could be 17 seasonings. So always look for salt-free seasoning. Used to be a spice producer down in New Orleans. Today's the 21st, so it's Fat Tuesday, correct? So it's a lot of jambalaya. Now, it was a famous chef by the name of Paul Prudhomme that he has his own spice company, and he develops a lot of sugar-free, salt-free seasoning. Just look it up in the supermarket and just look at the ingredient label, and it will let you know if it is good for you and it's something that you would like to try, okay?
Yeah, so for those of you that don't cook much, it's really nice to get seasoning blends so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. They already have the herbs that complement each other in a nice blend. So certainly those of you that don't cook much, it's good to buy some blends, as Chef mentioned.
All right, let's talk about garlic. Fresh garlic or store-bought processed garlic, correct? Normally store-bought garlic has oil in it. We don't know what type of oil they use. So go with the fresh one because you have a nice olive oil that you are using. So if you're gonna do the garlic and you already peel it, just squeeze them, okay? Flatten them. Just like that. And then give them a quick chop. And then it's ready to be added, correct? At the same time, just look at the salmon as it's cooking. So you start developing, I don't know if you can see the rim. Let me know if you can see this side. Let's see what's here.
The layers, yes, we see the color changing.
So the color is changing a little bit, all right? So you want to get that cooking process to be at least a half.
Okay.
And then you are able to
Before you turn
it just once,
okay.
And that's it. You don't have to keep on turning, okay?
Very good.
Okay.
So we also have a really nice antioxidant in the salmon. And that's associated with that beautiful pink color, astaxanthin. So that's in the salmon. A little bit higher quantity in the wild salmon. Is that right, Chef? And very good for brain health again, lowering cardiovascular risk, improving skin elasticity, improving cholesterol levels. So we know the salmon doesn't have much of the saturated fat. So heart healthy. We're also getting some vitamin A, which is a fat-soluble vitamin. Good for eye health. It's also a good source of vitamin D. And so it's hard to get good sources of vitamin D in the diet. Most of us tend to need supplementation, but salmon does have significant vitamin D.
Beautiful, correct? So I'm going to use the same pan. So if you see, it has a lot of the skin that peel off, and so no big deal, because all of that I'm going to reuse. Just watch. It's going to be reused. So salmon almost done. So I'm just going to place them all three right here. And you see how the salt-free seasoning created that crust?
Nice.
And it makes it look so much beautiful. It peels right off. So I'm just going to put this one here. This one's next to it. Okay. And the other one on top. So now, they are about 3/4 of the salmon is already cooked.
Okay.
We always believe in carryover cooking, so we'll continue to cook, because I'm going to add some of these items, some of the spinach when it's cooked on top, and then we're going to set it, and all of that will come together. So we will be able to cut it once we finalize the cooking. So now we're going to sweat the garlic a little bit. No need to brown. I don't need the bitterness when it browns,
Okay.
which in some cooking techniques, that's what you need. You need that browning of the garlic. In this case, you don't. I don't need to. So, and that.
Now, Chef, I like to use the garlic press. Do you prefer to cut it for more
I
flavor?
prefer to cut it. If you
Okay.
if you use a press, so then you will press it right on top, so the moisture will just dissipate, correct?
Okay.
And then what I try to do is make sure that as I'm eating my spinach with the salmon, I have that little crunchiness of the garlic.
Okay.
But that's preference.
And we're getting a beautiful aroma right now from the garlic. Just lovely.
And then I'm just going to add the spinach. How much spinach? Is that about
Oh, in the
5
recipe?
ounces, correct?
Let me
4.5
double-check
ounces.
here.
That's about 4.5 ounces, believe it or not. Okay.
4.5 ounces. Good memory, Chef. Yep.
So now I start wilting.
So our spinach, of course, is just loaded with nutrition. Where to start? Well, let's talk a little bit about where it's from. It's from the amaranth family, which is related to the quinoa and the beets, and we'll find certain components might be a little similar to the beets, which we'll get into soon. It's also high in vitamin C. We do lose some of the vitamin C with the cooking. Certain nutrients with the spinach actually become more available to us when we cook it. So vitamin K is one. Our iron, we can actually access the iron component of the spinach a little bit better when it's cooked or wilted. We also have carotenoids, which is antioxidant, and some of that turns into vitamin A. Also in the carotenoid family, we have so that would be the beta carotene that can be transformed into the vitamin A. Part of it does. We also got lutein and zeaxanthin, and antioxidants in that carotenoid family. They have a lot of reputation for eye health. So good for the eyes here. The lutein and the zeaxanthin, we access that best when it's raw, so it's good to have a variety. Sometimes we do a little raw spinach salad. Sometimes we saute it like that. We get different nutrients we can access with the different cooking methods.
Correct. And also, if you are avid knife user, I like to use a knife, and want to do what they call a chiffonette, the spinach. What that means is you add a little olive oil to the spinach, and then just mix it around. Just press it, don't worry about it, because the olive oil will prevent the oxygen from turning them color. So this will help you show off that you know how to use a knife. And then it will speed up your cooking process, right?
Okay, trim it up a little bit, yeah.
If you want to do that, then you're welcome to do it, okay? Then, as you see, I didn't need to add any
No
moisture
water, yeah.
because I don't want, spinach is about 80% water, so I want to evaporate as much water as possible as I'm cooking and I'm deglazing the pan, correct? So that salmon flavor is now on my spinach, correct?
Okay, very nice.
So now, I'm just going to place the spinach on top. Can be on top or the bottom, whichever.
However you want
like.
to showcase it. Yes, you can put it on the bottom and showcase the salmon, either way.
All right. So now we're just gonna let this one sit.
So if any of you remember the cartoon, the Popeye, right, and olive oil, I think, we do get so many health benefits with the spinach as well. I know we talked a lot about the salmon, a little bit more in the spinach. We're getting that folic acid and some iron in there, so good for red blood cell development, tissue growth. We know we like a lot of folic acid for our pregnant women to help prevent spinal bifida. We're also getting some vitamin K. Yeah, so I want to mention a few reasons we might want to be a little careful with spinach. And one is those of you on blood thinners, we might want to be a little careful with vitamin K content. So spinach is a very good source of vitamin K. I think we get 300% of our vitamin K with 3 cups. So the idea, again, those of you taking blood thinners, is we don't have to, not eat spinach ever, but if you're always eating a little bit, you had a spinach salad at lunch, we keep it the same. So they're going to dose your medication at the level that your blood is at. So you don't need to avoid it completely, but not a good time to add an excessive amount. So after you start with your blood thinners, we may not want to go into green smoothies with cups and cups of spinach.
Mm-hmm. Right. Or what about arugula?
Arugula,
You mentioned
good
that
choice
earlier,
as
correct?
well.
It's kind of in the family.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about beets.
Okay.
Red beets.
Yes.
Golden beets, red beets. So red beet seems to be the most nutritious of them all, correct? May I say that?
You could, I think.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All
I
right.
got lots of nutrients in the red beets.
So with that said, hard, right? Oh my God. So how do I do this? Do I peel it first and cook it then? Well, no. So we said, okay, we're gonna roast it. A lot of people shy away from beets, but beets are the simplest root vegetable to peel and to cook. And so first, since we're gonna roast them, so we're gonna poke some holes. This way the skin doesn't seal and explode, correct?
Okay.
So if you don't have a fork, you can use a small knife, but be careful, don't poke yourself, okay?
Ooh.
So, they scare you there? Then we use a little bit of olive oil or the spray olive oil if you have some, okay? So the reason why we put a little olive oil, it works in 2 ways. One, it doesn't get stuck to the foil, and 2, oil is hot, so it allows the heat to transfer to the vegetable evenly, okay? So then just put it as a pocket. Since you're putting this in your home oven, just make sure that you place it this way, because when it's cooking, the moisture and the oil will combine, so we get more moisture in it.
I
So if you put it
see.
sideways, guess what? It's going to run in your oven. It's going
Okay.
to smoke your oven. The alarm goes on, and everything breaks loose. Correct. So don't do yay. Fold it like a pocket.
Ah, good point. Yeah.
Okay. So that's step one. Put them in the oven. Lasts about an hour or so, depending on the size. See, two sizes. So this one will take about 30 or 45 minutes. This one will take about an hour and 15 minutes. Okay. So we have that in the oven, pretending. Okay. Now you take it off the oven, off the aluminum foil, wrap them up in a paper towel, put it in a Ziploc bag. So it's out of the oven, correct? You take it off the foil. Let's do that again. So pretend that this is hot, 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 hot. Take it off the foil, and then we're gonna wrap it in a paper towel. Okay? And then you see how the skin just got very...
Okay.
And then with the same paper towel, just squeeze and peel. So let it cool off inside the plastic bag, wrap in paper towel, and then with the same paper towel is what you use to peel it. And it just comes right off. Now it's best if you have gloves, this way it doesn't get all over your hands.
It does stain. Now, I know I tend to eat it with the skin, but I guess for culinary purposes, it's better to take it off. Or
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's that one. And
Came
then
out
the other
very
one.
easily. Look at
Okay,
that. I
that was
never knew how to
simple.
do that.
Just one.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so that's kind of the scenario.
I love beets, but I feel like that's one of those vegetables a lot of people say they just don't like.
I don't know why.
I know, and it's so sweet. But I
Now,
hear that often.
one thing I know, if you eat beets or you juice it, it goes right through you, so it doesn't.
We
you
do
don't-
absorb it, but you will see some pigment in
There
your
you go.
leftovers, in your excrement.
You call it leftover? I call it, gentlemen, poop.
Yeah,
All
there we
right?
go.
So it be red.
We'll
don't
let
worry
the
about
gentleman say it. So don't be surprised even if your urine is tinted.
Absolutely.
Probably don't have a UTI or blood in your urine. It is reflective of the beets that you just ate. So.
Yeah.
All right, so heart benefits. We have these dietary nitrates in the spinach as well as the beet. And these nitrates turn into a nitric oxide in the body with metabolism, and that relaxes our blood vessels. So in that sense, these beets, this nitric oxide, also in the spinach, it's thought to lower our blood pressure favorably for most, right? So.
Cool. All right, so now a couple of the ingredients are the lemon and the onions and the dill. So let's peel the onion. Normally you cut here, peel it here. See how they peel the first layer? Then it tells you where they're gonna cut. This way you're not cutting half of the onion to use very little. Okay? And then so only need about a quarter of this onion. Let me do it this way. Did I pick okay. So let me do a quarter of the onion.
So we're getting lots of good fiber with our spinach, with our beets. We're getting some minerals, again a little potassium here, manganese with the beets, some vitamin C. We're also getting some iron and magnesium. We're getting some anti-inflammatory antioxidants. We've got the balatin, and that's going to help the liver detoxify. And we've also got the lutein in the beet as well, which is known for the eye health.
Awesome. I have a rule of thumb when you're cutting any raw vegetables that is going into a salad or is your fork rule of thumb, correct?
Okay.
So nothing should be bigger than the end of the fork, because when you eat it, okay, you don't want it to be
Okay.
that long. So
That's
everything should
great.
be kind of on the same vicinity.
Okay.
Right? So you have two choices: either cut it out and then cut it, or just cut it here. Let's do this.
So you can see Chef is bracing the onion with
then-
his hands I know this just a few days ago. I slipped. I was cutting an onion and I slipped and I cut my fingers.
Oh, no. Safety
Maybe my
glove.
knife wasn't good, but
Safety gloves
we
all
follow
the time.
Chef. He's got the good techniques
Absolutely. Even with that, sometimes you. So then break the onion. It's a little too big, so bring him out. Set. Okay. Now, how many of you have scissors at home that never use? Well, mira, easy.
I love kitchen scissors. They're so
you
fun
go.
for herbs, peppers, chilies, right? You can just cut them up with the scissors. I love it.
Have you ever gone to a pho restaurant?
My Vietnamese friend showed me how to cut the peppers up with
There
the
you
scissors.
go.
I'm like, that's amazing. I thought I had to cook them and get so much flavor. Like you were
Bring in your
saying.
pocket like a cowboy, all right? And then you go to the pho, bring him out.
Do you
There
do
you
that,
go.
Chef?
Oh,
That's hilarious.
Of course I do. I wouldn't play.
He's
I
good,
love toys,
yeah,
so
yeah.
I play along. Don't worry about it. So you see how I cut the dill, but a little bit large, okay? Now that is kind of the same size as the onion, right? Now let's go for the lemon. So the lemon, a few things. We're gonna zest it. So I got my zester here. So I'm just gonna take strings. And this zest is what's gonna give it a pop.
Could you
to
do
that.
this with a fork, or do we need the tool?
Oh no, you have to have the
You have
tool.
to have the tool.
You
Okay,
have to
that's
have the
missing in my.
Now, if you don't
My
have this
toolbox.
tool, I have another tool, but I
Okay.
have to step away from the camera for a second. So let me step away from the camera so I can show you the other tool.
Okay.
And this tool everybody has. Everybody has at home.
Okay. So that lemon peel gives it so much flavor. Oh my goodness, it really enhances the dish. And we also know that the lemon has a lot of vitamin C. So when we squeeze the lemon on our spinach, it will help us absorb the iron in the spinach,
Okay.
or the beet for that matter.
This is not mine. This is my wife's. I brought it.
You better bring it home.
I thought you were going to ask me this question, so I brought it home. It's on TV, so I'm in trouble anyway. So you can use the coarse part of it or the mince part of that. It's up to you, but it's how hard you press, correct? So if I use the mince, so I'm going to press a little bit harder, correct? And then it has the flaky. Can you be able to say that? If it is a little, the
Nice
bigger
and
one,
fine, yeah.
then it just comes right like that, correct? Let's say the coarse one, you see that white part?
Yes.
That's very bitter.
Okay.
right? So let's
We
say
get
you
a lot
don't-
of the bioflavonoids in that peel.
But let's say you
But it
don't
doesn't
have
taste that good.
neither or. Let's say you don't have a knife, you don't have a zester. I mean, you don't have the grater, you don't have a zester, so you have a knife. So let's peel it like yay. So you can do it the professional way, which is this.
Okay.
It has no white part.
Okay.
Or I'm gonna blame my wife. My wife ways like that.
Okay.
That has a lot of the white part,
Right.
So a lot of baking, when you do a lot of baking, requires you to take the zest out. So what you do is you press. So let's do it the correct way. So you press here, and then you press. You see how I'm almost bending my knife? So the only thing I'm doing is just taking the white bitterness.
Kind of curving it up
away.
a little bit, right?
Correct.
Scooping it out. Okay.
So then I start in one end, and I keeping it flat. I'm not trying to cut because I don't want the skin to come off. To cut because then I won't be able to leverage it.
These details are important. I hope everyone's paying attention. You don't want a bitter beet salad, do you?
Okay. So you see how tedious this is versus.
Yes, much easier.
Correct.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's very simple right here.
Uh-huh. Look at how it digs right in and just gets the superficial layer.
So then I need to match that cut with my knife. So then after you peel it, then you're gonna julienne it.
Okay.
Okay.
So 2 different ways to do it.
Then we're gonna add that to the salad. And guess what? There's one more piece that we need to add to the salad. It is
The juice.
half of the meat of the lemon. Meaning, so now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to peel this because I only need half. So I'm just going to peel it.
So
you
we're
can
actually
peel it.
putting the fruit of the lemon inside the salad.
Reason I'm cutting it because it gives me the right portion and I'm able to see what I'm doing. Right? So we do one half, the other half. Trying to take all the white out. So what I'm doing here, see some of the juice is coming out. Let's see if I can. There we go. So now I'm going to take the segments. That's one. That's two. That's three.
So we're avoiding the bitter membranes as well.
Correct.
And I like a grapefruit. Many of us may cut the grapefruit into little quadrants. We'll cut it in half, cut it into quadrants. So we
Correct.
avoid that bitterness, right?
Correct. That's that. So now that gives you a little bit of the flavor without being just a juice. So then
Gotcha.
when you bite into it, you might get that little lemonade taste with the beets. Just delicious.
Now the dill is known as a carminative. That means it kind of stimulates your appetite, gets your juices going. It also has vitamin C. There are some studies, I haven't read to the bottom of them, but I did print them out for this talk, that show it can help with some blood sugar control, the dill itself. So can't rely on it. You still need to take your medicine, but it may have some effect there. So.
Oh, I dropped a seed. No. Okay, so now I left the beets for last because they are going to stain my cutting board, right?
Okay.
If I would have done at the beginning, then
Everything
all
would
of
have been
this wouldn't be
colored.
as pretty.
Very good
right?
point. So the order, right? We know the beets are going to
Correct.
leave their color everywhere, including in you, as we
Correct.
talked about.
So I don't know, did I mention that once it's cooked, it has to be forked, correct? So it comes in and out. So it has to be ready, fully cooked. So
Nice and soft. Okay.
Right. What I'm going to
I
do
love
is
beets in the salad. They add such a nice flavor and texture.
delicious. So a rule of thumb is when you're cutting anything that is round, you're gonna make sure you have a flat surface to one of them, to both of them, correct? So it's
Okay.
flat. So now it's no rolling, correct?
Gotcha.
Now what you can do is to make it evenly. So then you slice it like that. You slice it halfway. You see how I put in my hands just on the top and letting the knife do the job, and then.
So I don't know if any of you have been in the grocery store lately, but that produce aisle is just loaded with beets. We are in beet season, so go ahead and try some of these recipes.
Correct. So then, so if you can tell, see how's the beet, size of the fork, and if you can tell, all right, a little bit smaller, it's all good. So.
Definitely good way to measure. Is this going to be okay for the salad? Use Chef Cruz's technique. Measure it with your fork. Is it going to be bite-sized, right?
All right. Okay, I think I can use more beets. Let me see. It's a ratio, so I'm looking at. Okay, even though I'm teaching the class, but it's if I have this much garnish or herbs and onions, so that's a little bit of beet. So I need more beets.
A little bit more
in there.
beet.
That's it.
We don't want a huge mouth of onion. Onion is nice, but
Correct.
all onion could be a little bit much.
Now we're talking. Now, and this time, then you have olive oils that are flavored or non-flavored olive oil, correct? So this recipe calls for the regular olive oil. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to add it to my, I'm going to call this garnish.
Okay.
So I'm just going to add it to the beet. How much olive oil can I use? It's never enough, right?
Let's see, our recipe calls for half a tablespoon.
There we go. That's what I added. I think I added a little less than a tablespoon, but that's okay. And then I'm going to top it with my garnish. Then we take a bigger piece. And there. So right here we have our salmon and our beet salad.
Very heart healthy, loaded with antioxidants, vitamins, and nutrients. So can't go wrong with this dish.
Correct. So should we cut our salmon? Let's see. Just for kicks. Now that so it sat here for a little bit. Just taking that. Let me cut it here. One second. Okay. See how that looks? Beautiful. All right.
Yep.
So some people have the tendency of cooking it completely. It says cook at 145 degrees, correct? Always remember, it's about 5 to 7 degrees after you take them off the heat that it continues cooking. So
point,
always
yeah.
count for that, take it a little less, and then if you're gonna eat it kind of immediately, it's all good. You want as tender as possible, correct?
Right.
If you overcook it, then salmon is
Dry.
it forgives you. It's dry,
Okay.
but it forgives you. It's
Okay.
not as bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so you see how? Look at that. Beautiful.
Yeah, it cooked all the way through.
Okay, let me put it back. Okay. Well, how about the drink?
We still have a drink to
We
complement
have
the
a
meal.
drink to come to.
And it's
Okay.
going to be very heart healthy. Chef's going to introduce you to this wonderful fruit, fall fruit, spring, early winter fruit, the pomegranate.
Pomegranate. Okay. So how many of you have played with pomegranates before, right? Well, it's seasonal, so it's not easy to find, especially we are off season. Normally it goes through maybe October through January. And when they're in season, the prices are unbelievable. They're really inexpensive, and one pomegranate gives you so many seeds that you can do. So actually, I can tell you how much. One pomegranate will give you about that, okay? What you see in the supermarket. So this pomegranate cost me $1.50 now of harvest, correct?
Okay.
It's not. And now they seed it for me, correct? So they did the work, and they're charging me $12.29.
Look at
correct?
that.
So lazy, you don't want to, you want to be lazy. You don't want to, you don't want to do it. $12.29. So I'm going to show you how to save about $11.
There you go.
So rule number one is do not cut all the way through. Only cut the skin, okay, right here. Try not to cut too deep. I'm cutting quarters. So let me take this off too. And let me take that one out too. Both ends. As closest to the root as possible, okay? Not to cut too much through the meat. There you go, okay? Now is it true that if it gets in your clothes, You can't clean it, you have to throw it away.
It can stain, so be careful. You see Chef's got a big bowl there. I often do it in my sink. I'll put the bowl in the sink. That way it doesn't splash all over me. But they're messy. We're going to try and do it the best way we can. The plant is native to West and Central Asia, but it's been cultivated all over the world for centuries. Very popular in Middle Eastern cuisine, Mediterranean cuisine. It was brought to the United States or North America in the 1700s, so we've got it there. And we can see it growing in the neighborhoods here in California. People have pomegranate trees in their yard that do quite well.
All right. Now, if you ensure the beginning, you can do this submerging water. Okay, this way you peel it, and it won't spit on you. Let's put it this way. Like now, you see, this pomegranate is just full of pomegranate. Like I said, one pomegranate, $1.50, $12.29. But it requires some work, correct? And be gentle. All right. So I'm just peeling them away. So the seeds go there, and the peel goes out here. Now, as a chef, guess what I do? I got people who do it for me.
There you go.
Okay, so here we go. Okay, I haven't broken one yet. It's all good.
So these pomegranates are loaded with antioxidants. We have some in the family of the L-galactic acid. L-glutanins is one of them, and that again is for brain health. I know we're in a heart healthy class today, but also very good for brain health, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, and that ellagic acid is a phenylytic compound. So these phenylytic compounds, again, heart healthy as well, reduce inflammation in the arteries, which again can help decrease the blood pressure and fight atherosclerosis. So very good there. It's also been known to dissolve kidney stones. Okay.
Wow.
And good for gut health. So it can function as a prebiotic. This, of course, is when we eat the seeds. It's very high in fiber. When you eat it today, we're going to make a juice. We're going to make the juice from the seeds. But when you eat the seeds, I enjoy eating them. Some people don't. When we eat the seeds, we get quite a bit of fiber from there. And some of that fiber can function as a prebiotic, so nourish the good bacteria in our gut. So we've got probiotics and prebiotics. We can get some prebiotic properties from eating the, is it arillus? That's what we call the seeds. Arillus, the seeds, yeah. So just a half cup of pomegranate. It's about 16 grams of carbs if we eat it, and without the skin, but we eat the arillus, the seeds. And 3.5 grams of fiber, which is quite high for a half a cup. So good in fiber, very high in vitamin C, vitamin K. We get some iron from it, calcium, potassium, folate again, and some trace minerals, the manganese, some chromium as well.
So this should be all year round, correct? You mentioned something that I'm a true believer, and this is what I do in my life as a chef too. Your gut health is what keeps you in balance. No gut health, then you have weight problems, you have all kinds of problems, correct? But how do we manage to get enough probiotics and without having to go to the store, and that every supermarket now has the vitamin aisle. But naturally, we can get our probiotic, correct? That will help our gut. So, what do you think? In my case, I eliminated all milk.
Okay.
Okay. I do very little cheese, if any at all. But I do like cheese, so I had to compromise. So then, how do we compromise? Well, I figured that if I eat 3 times a day, normally for diabetics should be 5 times. Smaller meals throughout the day because you're walking, exercising, so you're burning those calories, so then your sugar won't spike. But let's say you stick to the traditional 3 meals per day. Well, it's 7 days in a week, so that's 21 meals, correct? So then, now I preach this a lot. I'm constantly talking about then how many meals are going to be the bad meals, meaning the cheeseburgers, correct? The pizza, all that really delicious food that is really bad for you. So how you keep it in check, correct? And it's all
To
about
balance,
correct?
right? The scales.
Correct.
We don't
Correct.
want those hamburgers to weigh us down with saturated fat. So
Correct.
we're going to add in, go ahead, Chef, some of these wonderful foods to help balance and rebuild our health again.
Exactly. So what I do is, if I know my grandkids are coming to the house over the weekend, I'm not going to give them only plant-based. They're looking for the pizza, homemade pizza. They're looking for the burger, the cheeseburger, so the hot dog. So I sit down with them and I eat it. But I know it's that one meal. Once they're gone, I'm back to my routine of healthy eating. Trust me, my body is able to absorb it, and I feel no issues whatsoever because I do it
In the right ratio.
in the right once out of 21
But then
meals.
the next
right?
day he wants it again and again and again,
That's the
then we
issue.
become out of balance.
Exactly.
Right?
That's the issue that we are having when you continue and then we flip the ratio, correct?
Correct. And we know that some of these foods are very addictive. Oh, those chips, I want them again. There's something in there that tastes really good, right? So we want to exercise what I call environmental control in our home. We keep healthy foods. And of course, when we go out or something, or as Chef mentioned, when you have some guests over, you may have some different foods, but as long as we don't make that a daily habit. So our daily habit should be the health-building foods. Okay, nutritious,
So
lots
look-
of protein,
look at that.
predominantly vegetables, and some fruit, some good protein in there. And we're keeping it low carb here because we are doing a diabetes series, so definitely low carb with these
Correct.
meals today.
So you may think, well, how are you going to make juice out of, correct? So it contains a lot of moisture in it, a lot of water. So let's put them in our blender, the whole thing. Now the trick with blending and extracting the juice has to do with the amount of time you're actually blending it. So if you have a NutriBullet, those high powerful blenders, you just have to pulse it on and off. Let me bring it here so you guys can really see what's going to happen, because I want to make sure that you guys see it completely. So see how much pomegranate that is, right? Amazing. All right. So just going 2, ready? Everybody? Ready? All right, let's do this.
And there's no liquid added, is there?
That's it, no liquid added,
Yeah.
okay? So now, since you mentioned martini,
We could turn it into a mocktail, right?
All right, so I'm gonna bring my martini glass. Oh, 1 second here. This is what I use in the office,
Oh, look at
ladies
that!
and gentlemen.
Oh, how fun!
So that's my martini glass. I don't know which one you use, but this is what I use. Okay. So now,
So look at all that juice we got out of that. What a beautiful presentation there. I love this cup.
oh yes.
So why not drink something that's actually health giving? So we know alcohol is not healthy for us, right? Very
But I can use a
dehydrating.
glass.
Right. So let your friends drink the alcohol and you can drink something very health giving, right?
And nobody will ever know. Look at that. Look like a pomegranate martini.
Right?
Correct? Nobody knows what's in it. Actually, grandkids, they love it. When it's in season, this is what we do at the house.
Oh, nice.
Just squeeze it. And I'm going to show you a trick. So you think we're done? Of course not. We're not done
We're
yet.
going to extract this.
We're not done yet. So now it's back in the blender. Okay. And I just happen to have club soda. All right. So we can make this a soda drink.
Oops, a little
I
shake.
knew I was going to do that. Okay, so that's cocktail. Now this is a trick. Do not put too many, just enough to cover it. This way it will give you a nice flavor to it. If you
Nice.
put too much, might as well drink the club soda as is, correct? So you're not going to flavor it. And then okay, when you have these type of blenders that they have on one setting different speed, you notice that my first blend, I didn't allow that second speed to kick in so I can have the extraction from the meat of the seed without touching the seed, correct? Now here with the club soda, it's okay. Give me a little bitterness, it's okay. I'm good with that. So then, it will look something like this. I don't have another glass, but let me see if I can, I'm just going to use this glass. Let's see if my pulse is good. I'm gonna spread all over the floor, over the cutting board here. Let's see how good I am. So let's start up here. Let's see. Wow, you got a cooking show and a magic trick at the same time. Huh? The goal is for me not to spill it on the cutting board. And it's white, so you'll be able to see it.
We've got punicalagins. These are more antioxidants in the pomegranate. We've got anthocyanins. That might be more of a popular one you may have heard. Again, many health benefits. Even they tend to, in many studies, they can slow the tumor growth. So we can say have some potential as an anti-cancer agent.
Okay. So you see the color distinction, just a little bit clearer than the true extract of the pomegranate, but not too light where it's just club soda.
Right.
Okay. So, you know, that's pomegranate, beets. We shy away from using them because they're tedious and they time consuming. But I show you on the beets how easy it is, correct?
Yes.
I show you on the pomegranate that if you're careful, you can be talking to somebody and doing it, you know, as you're being careful. And then you just grind it, make the drink, the juice. and have a great time doing it. Cooking is very simple. We make it difficult.
Right. Putting in the time, I think it's worth it. It's just gonna be so delicious when you taste this. So.
Well, no need for safety glove anymore. Like I said, 21 meals a week. We have to balance. It's all a balance, correct? That's what, if you come to the diabetes center, that's the message you're going to see across of balancing your meals, balancing your diet, use your portions, use your hands as a portion size,
Portion
and all that good
control,
stuff, correct?
so important, yeah.
Correct. So, I'm going to wish you a Happy New Year, everyone. And our next class is...
Yes, please join us in April 18th. We are going to do our spring cooking class, and our theme for that is Spring into your day with fresh and healthy foods that'll help you maintain your blood sugar. So thank you all for joining us today in our Heart Healthy February. What a beautiful Valentine meal we created for you. Hopefully you can recreate it at home. And have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you. And good night.